Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right, race fans, here we go. Road racing action here, and you saw the qualifying there. As you also saw a few guys hitting the wall there in the qualifying too. But well, as we got fancy pace car tonight there, Caleb, we got the Porsche machine out.
Yeah, and you know it's my favorite race on the schedule. Watkins Glen. It's not necessarily my favorite track, but it is a road course. I love road course racing.
What would be your favorite track?
COTA, Circuit of the
COTA,
Americas.
okay.
So, you know, I've won COTA.
Talking about for
series.
NASCAR, that's your for NASCAR, that's your favorite.
Oh, so, okay. For NASCAR, it's the Charlotte Roval. Anything Charlotte, I like.
You like the Charlotte Roval? Wow.
I do like.
Hey, you're one of the first.
Well, it's one of those tracks where it's very technical.
I'm sorry.
Look, it's one of those tracks where it's very technical and it requires a lot of finesse to drive. I like tracks like that. That's why I love COTA so much.
Okay, then I'm gonna throw a curveball at you. Sonoma. I like that one, and we'll talk about that. I really like Sonoma.
I'm a big fan of Sonoma. Sonoma is I've won several races at Sonoma through different leagues.
And it's good you bring up the technical part, because that one compared to this one is more of a technical track.
Yes, especially the S's on the back. But tonight, you know, it's all about Watkins Glen, and you know, the road course oval, as some people say. Not very many turns. I'm excuse me. I'm very interested to see how, because we're gonna have no cautions tonight.
Yeah, like that. Well, I got this little thing over here that tells me where they wreck and who wrecks. We're good. You might have that too, bro. It might flash up for you.
Yeah, I got it up right now.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, you know, short parade lap. You know, Jamie Horn, Evan Kinney on the front row. Blistering laps by the two, by the way. 13-1 by Jamie, 13-2 by Kinney, and that is 2 3/10 faster than third place. So, but we're coming to the green here.
Yes, a good one. Like you said, you know, we'll talk about it as the track goes on here, because really road racing, and we mentioned it before, is here's the exciting part of any of road racing: the start, where you see everybody just head off into turn one, and it looks like everybody makes it pretty well so far. Yeah, but it's always the exciting part, you know.
Yeah, and I think right now, I think you're gonna see him start to kind of fan out a little bit, you know, get single file, because we're coming up to the bus stop. The bus stop, we have a car at the bottom here. Who is that?
You got Matthew Dyer, man. Everybody making it to the bus stop so far. Passing zones.
Jamie Horn fell back from the lead. I wonder what happened.
He's back here in fifth, which, I mean, anything can happen on that start. I mean, you get shuffled back. He dropped 4 positions back there. I mean, you see him at Evan Kinney out front right now. It just looks like he jumped out and then just... You know and I know here, Caleb, at this track, it doesn't take but it's a little bobble in a turn. You can lose a lot. I talk about it a lot in road racing, and there's so much to talk about when we talk about road racing here is the lead difference. One of the biggest aspects I like to focus on is talk about somebody off the track, Paul Turner in the back, is you can have a 2, 3, 4 second lead, but that's not a huge lead in road racing, because that could be wiped out in one turn. As opposed to in oval racing, you got a 2, 3 second lead, man. Hey, you got a big lead. But here, like I just said, that could be wiped out in one turn. You wreck or slide off the track, etc., etc. You can make that time up easily. So you're not 100. To me, you're not 100% safe unless you're over the 5 second mark. Then you're not 100% safe, but you're still getting there. Then Paul Turner.
the key to winning this race, and see what happened here with the Ford truck. Just got
Overdrove
into
the
the
turn.
bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, but happy he didn't collect anyone else.
Stephen Tuck
So
also. Let's go there and watch him. Keep going. And this is going to happen throughout the race. I'm gonna watch these guys wreck. We're going to show the replay. Go ahead, tell, and we'll see again. Just over driving the turn.
the battle for the lead is picking up. They are like bumper to bumper. But yeah, the key to winning this race tonight is solely minimizing mistakes and making sure that if as the run goes on, I turned some laps earlier today with a few of the drivers in here, and one of the things that I found very early was tire wear. The track is really slick. Generally, tire wear isn't a problem for me at road courses. It was really bad when I was
I'm going to
practicing
correct you
here.
there, Caleb. Tires are always a problem.
Oh yeah, but not for me. Like I'm very good at managing them, and I just the thing here is with it being so slick, and especially going the big trouble spot, especially on this track, is the S's. And the right-left combination that they're going through right now.
Yeah, these are momentum style tracks. That's what I like to call Watkins Glen. It's more momentum. You have momentum road course and you have technical road course. We were just talking about that too.
Yeah, and it's not sliding your tires. Making sure that because a difference in 0.4 of a second. And like you were saying earlier, you could lose all your time. In a flash. Just by having an accident. Braking at the 600 board compared to the 500 board could be your race.
I always just stay slow in, fast out. Save it. I was always an early breaker. What are you when you go to that? A lot of guys like to drive into the turn, but I was always the early style brake, or let off and then kind of let it drift in.
So I've talked to a lot of people in the league, and
I'm talking about you.
Oh no, I know, but I've talked to a lot of them. They ask me like, where do I brake and like all this other stuff. I tell them wherever it feels nice, wherever the truck feels comfortable. So if it's slow in, fast out, we'll do that. If it's a fast corner, then we're gonna go fast in. It depends on how comfortable I feel with the truck or the car, whatever I'm driving. It's I don't necessarily have a specific slow in, fast out, fast in, slow out.
But if you're going to save tires,
I mean, if I'm in a situation where I have to save tire, I mean, let
me just say it this way. And I know you're saying, well, yeah, I'm just a king of road racing, but at some point, you got to save those tires, and you can't just always say, well, 20 laps into your run, I'm just running into this turn really hard. It's not going to stick. You know that. You've got to adjust that. And that's why I say a lot of what I do, even in the early run, and it might hurt me. And I'll say this, sometimes it probably hurts me. Sometimes it might help. Is I was more cautious going into the turn and then come out hard. As like what you said, some guys, hey, they'll move it on in there and come out the way they come out.
Yeah, and my biggest thing is, and really the only experience I have is Coda in this league. One of the things that I'll talk about from that race, I started the race on the pole, and from the get-go, my number one thing was how big of a lead can I make? It didn't matter about tires. It was
I think that's the key too. Yeah.
I wanted to make such a gap to my and I told some of the drivers this earlier. It was because pit strategy is going to come into play here, because it is a 45 lap race and fuel is 22 laps, 23 laps. So I'm going to stop it, but do you take extra tires and go for 2? You know, like, do you 2-stop it? It's just one of those things, especially with how slick the track is going to be. But what I was getting at was, I was telling him, I was like, you either start on the pole and you want to try to make such a big gap to the cars behind you.
Now, do you think anybody's going to make a 2-tire stop here?
A 2-tire stop? I don't think so.
I doubt it,
because I mean,
you tell me.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't see a 2-tire. I'm curious on that strategy. I'm curious on how that would benefit.
It would probably be more beneficial to take, if you're going to do a 2-tire stop, do left sides only, because we have more right-handed corners than left. Because, you know, turns 1 and 2, 4, you got the bus stop, carousel, and then you have the final corner, which are all right-handers. So it's more of like, if you're gonna go in for 2, take 2 left sides, because your left side is gonna be cooked, depending on how heavy you've been driving into the corner. But I mean, we might see some people take 2. I think the first pit stop you're gonna see everyone take 4. I don't think. I would hope everyone would take 4 tires, because I mean these guys up front are moving. Like, we're talking 1 minute 14-second lap times. That's
The other thing I'm seeing is I'm showing some of this stuff here as we're talking. What I'm seeing, a lot of these guys that are spinning is exactly what we've been talking about. Overdriving those turns, getting in too hard, and just brake bias. That's really the only thing you can't change. These are not fixed setup. I mean, these are fixed setup. They're not open setups. You can't really adjust really anything other than maybe your steering ratio. But brake bias is the biggest thing you can adjust here. And if that's off, it obviously causes spin and whatnot. I mean, I'll tell you what, Caleb, it's been a while since I've set up on a road race. I mean, I used to spend 8 hours at a time doing nothing but getting ready for a race on a weekend. I don't do that anymore, but then I had a loop on a lot of the newer stuff out there.
And like you said, it isn't open setups. It's fixed. And one of the things I was playing around with was steering ratio and the brake balance, the brake bias. If the back end of the truck is getting squirrely under braking, they need to go up on the brake bias to stabilize the back end of the car. It's going to increase their braking zone, but it's going to stabilize the truck so they're not spinning. Because what you're saying is they're going heavy into the corner, slamming on the brake, and then the back end is trying to become the front end, and you don't want that. So going when I was practicing earlier, I went from, I think the default is 65. I went up to 67.5. So 2.5 clicks. Up on the brake bias, and then you can adjust it in the in-car. But that's a good baseline, because as the fresher, what I've noticed is the fresher the tires, the more. Oh, whoa! What happened up there?
Well, he was going in, then he blinked, and the next thing when he came back, guess what? That's his product of whoops in the wrong spot, and then he slid around.
Yeah.
Connection.
But yeah, in the whole brake balance thing, you have to play with it as the race goes on,
Yeah.
and one of the mistakes I've made, especially in past, is I have my brake balance set up, and I'll set it over time, um, and say it's at 67.5. As the run goes on, I'm decreasing the value to get more rotation in the car because the tires are where you're using the brake to rotate. That's at least what I do. It seems to work, so I do it. But when you pit and you take fresh tires and you don't reset that value back, it can cause problems in the race. It happened to me when we ran the Cup Series on Thursday nights at Sonoma. Pitted, forgot to set the value back to whatever default was. In that case, went up the hill, turn 2, and it locked up right into the sand. I had no control over the car, and I'm not saying anyone here is going to have that type of issue. I don't even think anyone's actually adjusting the brake bias. I know there's a few people here that do because they're road racers, but I don't think some people are doing that. But it's a great tool to utilize, especially if you're trying to get extra rotation in the truck. Yeah, Lane Holsler here, pretty much putting on a clinic. He got past Evan Kinney early in the run, and he's been out front ever since.
Yeah, it's going to the bus stop here. It's got Kenny right there. We talked about Jamie Horn. Unfortunately, just kind of off the pace. Falling back to the 9th place spot right now. Just struggling a little bit. Maybe just trying to find his rhythm here on the track. He heads out of the bus stop there, going that carousel turn. Got Ross Tatum. He's back there in 10th. Sherwood's up to the 8th. Biggest mover so far. That'd be let's say Crank Bell, but then I look back here at Ghost. He's up 5. So they're about even. Bell's up 4. Ghost's up 6 now. I see another truck just going off the base there. Another thing about this track, or race, as we have mentioned it, no cautions. We've been watching a few of them, and actually right here, let's go here on the replay, is Jeffrey Weimer. And so if I had to guess, he just got into the turn a little hard. And there he goes. A little spinning around.
We actually have another car that
we got. Hang on a second. And we got James Rayburn. So we got multiple ones, man. So what happened to him? Again, I didn't turn hard. And then Steve Tuck, I think that's the one you're seeing. Don't back up into the back. Alright, well, let's see what happened to Steve here. Actually, already will have to read on his back. Same thing? Gonna turn hard? Oh, he just kept going straight. He just said, you know what? We'll blow that turn.
So one of the things I see a lot of drivers do when they lock up is they crank the wheel hard right, or whatever direction. But what that does is you're essentially just sliding your tires, and that's what a lockup is. But what I'm getting at is, so you just leave your wheel straight, release the brake, and then get back onto it. It frees up the wheel, but you crank your wheel hard right while locking.
Yeah, there's no brake. ABS on these.
Yeah, and all you're doing is you're not giving the truck enough room to turn, and you're just sliding it sideways, which is only cooking your tire more. And I see it a lot. Especially
now there is some things you can do. I don't mention this a lot, but it's more. There is a setting actually in iRacing that you can change brake pressure. and it's interesting you brought that up. Happened to Kerry, right? The big names here having some problems tonight. Grant, Kerry, and let's see if it's a product he just overdrove. Yeah, just nope. Don't know who that was on the inside, but they just slid right by.
That was Tyler Honeycutt.
Woo!
Yeah,
He got excited for a minute.
That would have been some bad luck for the 20 truck. You know.
Why? So far, a lot of these guys spinning hadn't hit anything, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, and you know that's.
But back to what I was talking about is interesting. You brought up that the fact about the brakes, because we were talking about what they could change and what they can't change. That's a good pass right there by Evan on that lap truck and the bus. Is there is another thing that they can control a little bit of kind of what you were talking about, brake lockup, because there is no ABS on these trucks. GT3s they are, GTEs they're not. Some of the other series they're not. But there's two things, and I really did this when I raced cup cars or trucks at Martinsville, where you had to brake heavy going in a turn, and you know, brake chatter and all that. I wanted that out of my pedal. I wanted to be able to brake hard without that front end, you know, going into the turn, and then losing, you know, the steering like you're talking about. So I wanted it to be as soft as possible that I could hit it as hard as I can. Well, there's a setting in iRacing, you know where it's at, that allow you to push your brake pressure to a certain point to where you have to hit your brake harder, or you can hit it harder and it won't just like lock them up. Also, if you have a load cell pedal, now we're getting a little more technical with it, or anything like that, you can adjust that too in your sim. So that's the only other two areas I know of that you could combat a little bit of that lockup or whatnot, because again, there is no ABS on it. And then now we're getting like really, really technical. What's up, Terry? How you doing, man?
Yeah, and you know, I have load cells, and I've had load cells for a while, I generally don't like messing with the brake pressure meter and like all that, because when I race on the sim, I like for it to be as authentic, and you know, I want it to feel like I'm actually racing the car. So all of like the extra stuff in the settings I really don't like to mess with. However, last night I did try brake pressure for the first time, and I set it to 82 because I was just on a track by myself. I was like, I'm not racing, I just want to try it. And I had no lockups whatsoever. It almost feels like cheating.
Well, I mean, it's there for a reason. I mean, and they do it in real life, you know, and it's you know, and I know that it's not exactly like a turnkey, you know, in real life, but obviously they've got to do a little bit more to it. But I mean, it is there to combat. And again, I used it a lot for like tracks like Martinsville, where you brake hard to get the truck or car stopped. Unlike here, where you're not gonna. Some turns you might brake hard, but a lot of them you're not. Not on this track, really. You shouldn't be. If you are, you're going into really, really hard. But anyways, like a Martinsville, I don't know. I know you know what I'm talking about. When you go in there and that truck just wants to just chatter, like the front end. And I wanted that chatter out, and that was the way to get it, was just keep going down, 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 some on that pressure. And eventually what it was I could hit that brake hard enough, like, and I think you felt it, and it took that chatter out.
Yeah, and you know, it happens to me more on short tracks than it does on road courses.
Yeah.
And you know, I think the most recent one was I was racing Richmond, and I went into like one of the turns, and instead of turning, the truck decided it wanted to hop.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just, I'm not a big fan of short track racing, which you think I would, considering that, you know, you just apply the braking skills to short track racing. But It is what it
Oh.
is.
Well, Grant just took a hit. Like he was even maybe trying to go into pit road. And one more time, I don't know if he was trying to go on pit road and just overshot that turn. Nah. I think he was losing it coming out of the turn, trying to get to go straight. But man, he hits those inside barrels. Wow.
I don't. Can we go on board with that?
I'll just.
Let's get an inside car here. Let's look at the steering wheel input. It comes off the corner, saving it. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
It looked a little
losing it.
It looked a little sketchy from an outsider's perspective. So,
No, that wasn't sketchy.
yeah.
Where's it sketchy from?
well, I mean, just looking at it, he comes off the corner and
He
then
comes off
you know,
the. All right, here we go. We're gonna watch it one more time from this angle. Watch that. Watch that rear end. That rear end sliding right there.
he's
Boom.
sideways, like
Yeah,
like you
he's
keep
sideways
seeing the
coming out
car.
trying to save that thing. And I know it doesn't look like a lot, but it doesn't. In road racing, it doesn't have to be a lot to kick one sideways. And he was chasing it, and unfortunately, them barrels caught him. Ouch.
And I like
That hurts.
giving him a hard time. He's my former teammate.
Well, hey, look, it's Grant. He's
I know.
he's probably not liking the night anyways. He's probably going, man, get me out of this place.
He's probably going to bed. He's already disconnected.
Unfortunate night for him so far. He had already spun a couple times, and so we've I mean, in a nutshell, we've talked about it. Some guys like road races, some don't. I mean, obviously Lane Hoosler out here having a time of his life out here out front, Kenny right there behind him. But some guys, unfortunately, like Jacob Grant, hey, we know that he knows how to drive. He's a past champion here, just not having the night he wants. I mean, make Ghost another past champ, just not having the night he wants so far. Hey, so on one side of the scale, you got guys who really, really enjoy this place and having a good race. And then on the other side, you got guys, man, who are just struggling.
Yeah, and while we're, while there's kind of a break in the action, if you would, let's go ahead and let's bring up the title sponsor for the league. It's hang on.
Flag football.
I'm having, yeah, it's Sports Academy Flag
Academy.
Football.
Yep.
There it is. I am so sorry. I had.
I thought, well, we're
green
showing
card.
one of the main guys that there goes right. He said he's got it on the top of his thing, and the reason I knew the Sports Academy Flag Football is because every time he would come up and have an interview, he'd bring that up, and I was like, pretty sure he actually coaches that or associated with it.
Yeah, and I say it every time we.
He's slow on the pace for some reason.
Yeah, I think
He
he's
just
letting
let
the
a
leaders
lot
go.
of. Oh, okay.
He doesn't want to get in their way, and I respect it. That blue flag that's being shown, he doesn't have to abide by the blue flag like, say, open wheel racing. It's not as strict in stock car racing or IndyCar. That blue flag is just telling you there's faster cars approaching. Don't wreck them.
But now I do know in GT3 and stuff like that, if you don't eventually get out of the way, they will penalize you.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if it's waving, it's not a. Okay, well, it's an option. After a while, move. And now that's the discipline of road racing that a lot of it's way different than the oval. And we were talking about this before for the race. You have to appreciate road racing because it's a lot different than oval, and you either like road racing or you don't, because it's more. You're talking about more of the track, the driver, the car, and how to get around the track more so than you are. Well, I'm going to get up here, man, and draft off this guy and beat and bang his rear end and try to get alongside of him, et cetera, et cetera. You set them up for passes and you set up the turns, et cetera, et cetera. So we're talking more along that line. And some like it, some don't. What do y'all feel out there in the chat? Y'all Do y'all like road racing over oval? I mean, you know what me and Caleb like. So what do y'all like out in the chat?
You know, Lane Holzler is kind of grew a gap between second and third place. Oh, Lane's
Now he's
pitting.
on pit late. Yeah, he's on pit road. So.
Lane's gonna one-stop this. Everyone is one-stopping here. Evan Kinney is going to
So
extend
there'll
the
be no
lap.
2-tire stops.
No, they're gonna one-stop it. And this is kind of what I wouldn't say fearing, but I knew one or two things was gonna happen. One, they're gonna do exactly what they're doing now, hit either lap 22, 23. Evan has saved a little bit, and I think that's why the gap kind of grew between him and Lane, as there's a lap car there.
Yeah, I could have been close right there. Wow.
I would say he did an amazing job navigating the stop with the lap car there. Evan Kinney has a lot of road course experience. I've raced him plenty times.
And he does really well a lot of times on them.
Yes, and he's very good at saving fuel, which is what he's done here. We did practice earlier, and we ran out of fuel on lap 22. So the fact that he was able to push it a lap further is impressive. The issue he's going to have now is
he's not going to get out in front of Lane.
Yeah, he's got Lane Holzler, Matthew Dyer, Eric Anderson, Joshua Altus. All of these guys, not Eric Anderson, sorry, I read that wrong. He's got all these guys that have fresh tires, that pitted, that were in a group with him, that pretty much did the undercut. And if he can overcut them, which they're coming off the final corner now.
Yeah, there's not, I mean, I can look at the lap time difference there. He was only 30-some seconds ahead, and it's 47, 46 seconds, full pit stop. I knew he was not going to get in front of him. Unfortunately, with no cautions, there's, because that's the biggest thing with like oval racing. That's where you can catch back up. And with a 4.5 second gap now, Lane's going to have to make a mistake.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. Well, so and here's the part I was kind of talking about when Evan Kinney pitted. Evan Kinney saved a lap of fuel. Evan Kinney saved a lap of fuel to pit a lap later. He can now push it all the way to the end, no issues at all. Lane Holzler, Matthew Dyer, Joshua Altus, all of them are going to have to pretty much save a lap, a full lap's worth of fuel to make it to the end.
Are you sure?
Positive.
They went 24 laps. They went 22 laps. 22 laps when they pitted.
Yeah, when we did practice earlier, we ran out coming across the line at 22. So, I mean,
so if he runs out coming across the line, he's good. Right? I mean, if he wants to run it all the way, here's the thing. He has a 4.5 second lead. He can give, and that's another thing. He could give up a second. So there, what you're saying is, he could save, he can afford to save some. He does have a pretty good lead.
Yeah, and
I still say he's going to have to make a mistake for Kenny to catch him.
I think, because I do think that he's going to have to go into save mode. It depends on how he saves, because he's got Matthew Dyer behind him, who I already know is saving. It's what he's good at, saving fuel. But I think we'll see him catch him a little bit if he starts saving, and we'll be able to tell.
Yeah, the
especially
time,
with
the time to drop. The biggest, and one of the things too, like on road racing, it is a little hard. I mean, we can't just jump on board and see them, clutching and cetera, because well, they're already shifting gears and whatnot here. Oh, there you go, Wiggly coming that turn. The really biggest telltale signs is you start seeing those laps come up. I mean, again, Evan Kinney is 4.1 second back. If we start seeing a second drop instantly, then we definitely know Hoosler is saving. Because we can't go on board. I mean, we can go on board, but it's not really going to tell us like we can on oval, where we'd see a little tattletale needle drop or something like that. Here, it's going to drop no matter what. We have to go, which I am seeing right now, 3.6 seconds.
yeah,
Which we don't know if that's the one lap newer tires also. I mean, and Kenny could be running hard early. There's another one we don't know of. Is he could be running hard early to maybe try to get into that, knowing that Lane might have to save a little bit, and I don't. And that if I can cut into that lead, then it makes Lane a little bit worried to going, where I had a 4 point some odd second lead, now I've only got a 2 second. It might put him in panic mode. Don't know 100%, but it might.
Evan Kinney's already taken pretty much a whole second in in just one lap. And now he's at 2.8. And now Matthew Dyer's catching him. We lost a little bit in the carousel there. One sideways in front of Evan Kinney.
Looks like Murphy.
Right.
Well, I know Murphy went off the track, so we'll watch him really quick. So. White truck right here. Bradley Murphy. And it's got to be this turn here. Is that or just registering? Nope, there it is. Whoa, good slide. He had it. He's in the gravel.
Man, it is a good thing iRacing doesn't have sand traps.
Yeah, you ain't lying. Okay.
Yeah, I mean 2.6 seconds for Evan Kinney to Lane Holsler. I mean
he's chopping into it, and again, I don't know if it's maybe Lane is saving and then Kinney's running hard. Or maybe a combination of both. I mean, this is what we're talking about. This is the only way we'd know if maybe Lane is maybe saving some. But then we would also know if Lane is saving is if it gets down to, let's just throw a number out. Let's say right now, let's say 2 seconds, and then all of a sudden Lane holds that or starts making it, grows it longer. Then we know, okay, there we go. So. Man, you see Matthew Dyer, even though in those new tires, he's up there struggling.
I'm trying to listen into the 61 truck to see if I can hear him doing anything different. And it doesn't sound like he's doing anything different. I mean, he's really smooth everywhere. He's sliding off some of the corners, but that's to be expected. You're trying to... Oh,
that was close. Wow. I don't know who that was that made it by. I'd like to ride on board with them, and we'll see if we can find out who there was that just made that by there. That was
some good driving by everyone.
That actually looks like Bradley Murphy.
It was.
It was, yeah. We're gonna go. Well, we're gonna ride by and just tell you folks that watch this. This is what you call. Hang on. Whoa!
So if
that'll wake you up on it.
If we could go to Lane Holsler through the bus stop, like into the carousel, Frederick Garcia, lap car. Once again, blue flags do not really mean anything here. They don't have to give way to the drivers like in other forms of racing. But yeah, no, you'll see the lap cars coming here. are the lead lap cars coming here, and you'll just see how much they gain on Fred to this corner. And it
Yeah,
caused
but
him
at
to
this
check
point,
up.
at that right there, I mean, that's not bad. He caught him at the right spot.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll give him credit. He did catch him at the right spot. If he would have caught him in the middle of the bus stop, then it would have been up the lane to go, do I push that issue? You don't want to wreck. Look at Matthew Dyer on his back bumper.
I do not think Lane has a choice right now. And I'll tell you why. I've been in Lane Holzler's position. I've been in Matt's position. I've even been in Evan Kinney's
You always
position.
have a choice.
Yes.
You ever heard that saying?
And yes. right now, if I am Lane, I am defending, because I mean he's 4/10. I mean that's dive bomb range. Respectfully. I mean he just took 2/10 out right there, the braking going. But
Yeah, but now you bring a word up that's a kind of a no-no when you talk about road racing. Dive bomb, no-no, and oval racing too. But I mean, sure, on the last laps, why not? You know, you got to go for the win. Now, do you take that kind of chance to wreck yourself? Because we haven't talked much about. We haven't talked much about. You know, right here, Lane. That was perfect. Patiently waited till they got out of the bus stop. Carousel is a passing zone. Getting into it. If he patiently waited there and went around, so that's, to me, that's textbook waiting and road racing there. But it's early. Do you take that chance of wrecking yourself? Adam out there says, "Tell Honeycutt his teammate sucks." Okay, well, Honeycutt. Oh, Tyler, I got you.
yeah, the 20 truck.
I mean, it's a battle up front. I mean, Dyer looks like he's driving that truck more than any of them. He's out there sliding that thing everywhere. So that goes back to what you were talking about earlier, using them tires up.
Yeah, and right now, this is probably these next 13 laps or so. I think we're really gonna see who's gonna take home the road course like champion crown for this season, because we only get one of these a year. So you see who can drive these the best. And right now, we got 3 underneath a blanket.
Yeah, and you know, man, I've seen Kenny up here. I've seen him win. Lane fairly new to me, but I'm pretty confident on Lane's ability. I've seen him race a lot so far. He's shown it tonight. I mean, Matthew's there. Matthew keeps rustling that truck around. He's gonna them tires are gonna wear out eventually on him. Maybe not, but he is definitely manhandling that machine. He can sit right there in front.
Yeah, and you know, I've raced on teams with Matt before, and Matt is a very talented road course racer. We've done endurance racing together, and you know, I will say that, like, in this position, Matt can win this race. He's very good at what he's doing. But he's
I'm
also
not saying
got
that. But even how good you are, you keep manhandling that. A driver can be the best in the world, but after a while, that equipment stops being the best in the world.
I don't know.
Let me say it that way. Because even though you might say you're the best in the world, Caleb, if you have worn out tires and everybody else out there that has, I'm going to say Lane, has equal set of tires and is right there on your back door, guess what's going to happen? All your skill in the world, that truck, man, just limitations. And I know Caleb's going to say otherwise, but I've seen it many times.
Okay. Right now, with how close these 3 truck drivers are,
What did I just say? What did I just say? What? So let me hear it. Truck limitations.
Well, no, okay, now hold on. They've got to go, and they know.
But what happened right there with that pass right there? Let's go back and watch it one more time if we missed it. What happened with this pass right here? Go through and tell me how he made this pass, because I know how he made it. He lost it. The truck came out from under him. He got loose. Kenny's right there on his back bumper, and whoop, no matter how much skill he's got, a great save, but still pass.
Yeah,
and that's a perfect example with it. And I'm not taking anything away from Dyer. Now, and by saying what I'm saying there, I'm not taking anything away from skill wise, because it's awesome. But at some point, you're battling the truck, and I was seeing it. Now it's going to come down to the two guys up front with really fresh tires. I mean, has Kenny saved enough to run down Hoosler? Has Hoosler saved enough fuel to be comfortable enough to make it to the end?
I don't know. I've been riding on board with Lane for a while now, for the past few laps, and I mean he's. You can't really see it on the broadcast from like the broadcast perspective, but like he's been sliding out of the corners, and like especially out of the final corner, just sliding up to the wall and all of that. So I mean, it's pretty impressive how he's been able to kind of keep the pace. But I mean, one mistake in Evans there, kind of like when Evan was there with Matt, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're definitely close enough. I mean, they both look very smooth coming out of the turns. And remember what I was talking about earlier is the only way we would be able to tell whether or not, Hoosler was saving it, and then when he stopped is if it kind of leveled off. Right now, it looks like it's leveled off. Kenny's still close enough, though. Lane makes a bobble mistake like we saw before. Kenny's going to be there. Not to say he probably still can't get there, later on in this race. I mean, it's been a good one so far. I mean, I again, Caleb, all in all, I love, the road race aspect. I like this right here, the strategy involved. I mean, what do you do as Hoosler out front? He's going to try to maintain this gap and try to see, but you see right there, come to the bus stop, man, Kenny was able to just climb all over him. So one little mess up in a turn, we talked about it earlier, boom, there you go.
Yeah, and another thing about it, we are at the point of the race where there are trucks all over this racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
And like we just seen with the 20 truck right there, he overshot the bus stop and cut across the curb on the other side of the track. If Lane were to take it full speed, he probably would have hit the 20 truck. And it's just navigating, but that brought Evan Kinney closer to him.
Yes.
Which
another thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. All I was gonna say is it's just bringing the fight closer, which is what we want to see.
Another thing, too, we mentioned a lot. When we talk about road, this track's more of a momentum style track. It has a lot of sweeping style turns. Doesn't have a lot of sharp style turns to it, like Sonoma or Coda, like you were talking about, which are more technical. Bus stop would be really about the only really sharper style turn here, other than maybe the S's at the end. But you have a lot of these. So some guys are better at these long sweeping style turns than they are with the sharp style kind of braking, more technical turns is what I like to call them. And I've just noticed that maybe it looks a little bit like Kenny might be a little bit better in those sharper style turns. You can see like right here on the S's and stuff, he's able to gain, but loses a little bit on the momentum style turns. And we see that in road racing, a lot.
Yeah, and everyone has their strong points at tracks, and whereas always Chris Smith kind of loses it in front there, saves it.
Where's he running at right now? He talking much about, he's about 19th. Just nice looking truck. Done a great job with the league. I got to give him hats off to him. He took over the helms from old Frederick out there and has just run with it. So definitely got to appreciate him and all that he does. Appreciate him letting us come up here and broadcast here the league and whatnot. So always got to give him a good shout out. Just not the night he wants though.
No, look, he knew going in that this was not going to be a race that he was going to do very good at. He likes road courses. He's just not very competitive. So I can
about
only
like me. I like road
man,
courses. I'm not very competitive. There you go. That's a good way of putting it, Caleb.
I can only teach the man so much.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
But yeah, this is becoming, in my opinion, one of the best leagues on iRacing. We're getting consistently 30 trucks a week, which is pretty good amount. I mean,
that's really good. Yeah, to me, anything 25 and over, or really anything over 20, man. If you're a consistent 20 or more every week, you're a good successful league. And the reason I bring that up, I don't want to down any league or put any league above one another, is I've done quite a few leagues over the course of almost, you can believe this too, it's coming up almost 10 years broadcasting. So you see a lot, but you're right. Yeah, I mean, the 30-some trucks a week, it's really, really good.
Yeah, and especially for a road course, people see right turns and they're like, oh, okay, I'll skip this week. It really scares them.
I get scared.
Yeah, and that's cool. And but yeah, the fact that we had at least 31 trucks show up tonight, very, very happy that we had that many show up.
Looks like we still got about 23 of them running.
Correct.
Yep. Yeah, because unfortunately Fred Garcia has retired. Yep. So we've got still 23 of them running tonight.
Yeah, and the fight up front, it's kind of staying 0.5 of a second, which it seems to kind of have plateaued a little bit. But I mean, Evan's still bringing the fight. Like, he is really throwing it in the bus stop here.
Oh yeah, Lane makes one little bobble or mistake, Kenny's there.
Yeah, but I mean that just goes to show you how much momentum these tracks require.
Mm-hmm.
He sent it in there, was on his back bumper, and now he's back to 0.5 of a second.
Yeah.
So, and it's just one of those things about this style of racing. But I mean, coming 5 to go, I mean, he's really gonna have
That's
to
an
get going.
eternity on this track, Yeah.
Oh man. And now it's 7/10, almost 8. Like you were saying earlier, limitations. I think he might have already found the limit, because that truck's getting really sideways.
Yeah.
I'm riding on board with Evan, and I can hear him applying the throttle, and you can just see the back end start to kick and him start to correct.
Well, Evan did run it hard at the beginning there, and I guess that's a choice he had to make, whether or not drive it hard to get as close as I can. Hopefully, man, Lane has to save a lot, and I put the pressure on him because we talked about that, and I think that was his game plan. Again, 100%, but I think that was again maybe get as close as I can, maybe push Lane to have to push his truck, and hopefully maybe runs out of fuel or has to save, and then I just shoot on by him. But as well as anybody there, Caleb, when you do that, there's that flip side of it. You are running your truck hard, and you're using up the advantage that you did have, which was the tires.
Yeah, but I don't think he really had a choice, and like being 5 seconds back like he was, he's here. Oh, Lane a little sideways going into the corner there.
Yeah, that's what he needs. He doesn't need Lane to make a mistake. And it is only
Yeah,
going to take one mistake. He's definitely close enough that one little slip, that's the biggest. You know, on oval, this might be considered a pretty good lead. But on road racing, you are far from safe. You hit that apex wrong, hit them rumble strips wrong, and guess what? The other guy's right behind you, and you're going, what happened?
Yeah, and you can see it now, especially in Lane's truck. He's overheated the tires with that slide, and that's not what he needed. So the fight is back on. 3/10 of a second.
He's going to fight these last couple laps. I'm with you.
He's got to. Evan has no choice but to press as hard as he can, because this could be his shot at the playoffs right here. He is a chartered vehicle. He's
look at that
peeking his nose
inside.
out. Yeah, he's peeking his
That's
nose
just a
out.
strategy there to maybe to get Lane to go off his line a little bit. You know, he peeked to say, hey, look, maybe I'll dive. You know, you talked about that dive bomb. Because he is close enough to try a dive bomb, but I would think it would. I don't know. Now, here's where you get into some area that's
Yeah.
lap traffic.
That's and
Oh,
you know,
he's
we
going to
have
catch
two-
that one right in a bus stop. And Evans got to be careful here, too. Oh, good job by the lap truck. Good job.
Realize what's going on, got out of the
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
That's
that
what
was
we like
heads
to
up.
see. And yeah, and you know that I like to call that move a dummy. You know, you don't you peek your nose out, you show it, and you hope that the car in front is mirror driving.
Yeah.
And you hope that they kind of overshoot the corner, you know, try to go in a little bit later to defend you, and then, you know, you squeeze in, take that spot. Sometimes it works very well. Experienced road course racers don't really fight to it.
Yeah.
But it is one of those moves that I have in my arsenal. You know, and Evan obviously has in his. He is pushing a little bit hard
See
right here.
that, man, and he's extended that lead.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. I mean, 7.5 tenths.
Maybe he was saving just a little bit there, and you know, smart racing there on Lane's part, saving just a little bit, get the tires cool. You know, he might have to save a little fuel, and then he has definitely extended that lead.
Yeah, and I don't really know how the fuel numbers are looking for Lane. He might be all right to the end. But you know, coming up on the final lap here, it's Lane getting a little squirrely coming out of the final corner.
A white flag one more time, and I tell you what, we're gonna ride on board with the leader. Take you around this lap here as he comes out of lap turn one. Just kind of show you here, and Caleb, it's interesting as he still has a 0.7 tenth of a lead, 3/4 of a second over Kenny. Still not out of the woodwork, because if he makes one little slip, and if he runs out of fuel, I don't know.
Yeah, and you know, if I'm Evan, like, yeah, you're pushing as hard as you can, but like,
Yes.
you don't want to sacrifice your second place. You know, like, he's out of dive bomb range. He's just too far back. So he's just gonna have to, which I think Lane is gonna ease up a little bit in these final two corners. You don't want to wreck it from the lead.
Oh no.
You don't. So you're gonna see Evan kind of, you know, closing a little bit here.
Yep.
Just
Final time, final turns.
yeah.
Lane's got it. He could coast it to the lead. He's going to put it in victory lane here tonight. Lane Hoosler, man, with a But a good outstanding run, but Evan Kinney was there all the way with him. Matthew Dyer is going to pull her back up here in third as he comes across the line. I think the tires on his end just went away too soon, but man, what a race up front. It was an awesome one here tonight there, Caleb, and I think he might be out of gas.
He's either out of gas or
it's fluctuating. Look at that needle. Look at that needle. He's out of gas.
See,
No,
I told you.
he's out of gas.
Look, listen. Just enough fuel, okay? Look.
But he knew that.
Look, he managed it just fine.
Perfect.
But, you know,
all he needed.
I think had Evan not applied the pressure he did in the situation he did, Hosler would at least have enough to get back around. Because he would have saved a little bit more. So,
hey, saved enough to make it there to that finish. That's what matters.
Yeah.
It was a good race. I enjoyed it. If we can't get some of these guys up here and get a word with them, man, because that's just textbook style road racing we saw there. Good strategy, pit strategy. Guys just, man, doing what they needed to do here tonight.
Yeah, and Lane winning, Evan finishing second, and then Matt finishing third. Those three were under a blanket the whole time, and it's, you hate it for Evan Kinney, but it's that style of racing. He did it clean. He raced very, very hard. He didn't wreck anyone, which is what we like to see. You don't like to see anyone wreck anyone to win. And I'm happy it was clean. It was very fun to watch. And
let's bring Matt up here, man. Let's get a word with him right fast.
All right. Hey, Matt, you got me?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, man. So the final 15 laps, I'll ask you about how your race was, but the final 15 laps where it was Lane Hosler, you, and Evan Kinney, pretty much under a blanket. What happened? Because we've seen you kind of get a little sideways, and you kind of fell back from there. What happened?
Yeah, just having trouble with the rear end in turn one. I had trouble in practice. I've had trouble late in the run there too. I tried adjusting the brake bias a little bit to try to help it, but it just continued to get worse and worse as the run went on. But I was really just trying to push Lane as much as I could because I know him and I hit it on the same lap and we needed to save a little bit. And I was trying to push him as hard as I could to at least try to get past him so I could be out front and kind of like control the pace because I knew Evan was going to be coming quick. He pitted a lap after us, so he did not have to save at all. So that's why he was able to catch us so quickly, despite us having, I think it was like a 4-second gap in front of him. But yeah, it was just ended up just coming down to once Evan got past me, I had a big enough gap behind me where I just kind of just saved fuel to the end, and Lane and I both ended up running out of gas there at the line.
Yeah, it was definitely fun to watch. Do you but like overall, like your race, like it was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean it felt pretty good. To be running in third most of the way, then kind of have a shot at second place felt really good. But in practice, I did not feel good at all. I was like looking at the times from everyone else and seeing all these really quick laps. So I think I spent most of practice just doing a long run, just trying to take care of my tires. See how maybe not to slide them as much in practice, and it definitely helped, paid off here in the race. I was able to keep pretty consistent times, even during that first stint when Lane and Evan kind of pulled away a little bit towards the end of that run. I was able to get back up to them. So really, for me, it was just taking care of my tires and being able to stay competitive.
Well, it was a very fun race to watch. Do you have anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, just a huge shout out to you guys for broadcasting every week. I know it's not easy. To the admin team, with your dad, Chris, and all the other admins. I know it's not easy to run a league either with this amount of people, with all of our opinions and stuff like that. So I think they're doing a great job. Great job to SMB, finishing third, fifth, sixth. I mean, no, sorry, third, fourth, fifth. Really good showing, and also Ross in there in eighth place too. So, huge shout out to them. Shout out to Drop Top Froyo, Blitz Racing Network, in SMB Motorsports.
All right, Matt. Well, congrats on your third place.
Thank
And
you.
we'll see you next week.
There you go, man. Like I said, Matt bringing it home in third here tonight. We'll bring up here. We'll bring Lane up here. Let's get a word with him.
Hey, Lane. You got me?
Yeah.
All right, man. Hell of a race. Really dominated it from time you got the lead, which was I think lap 3, 4. Pretty much the car to beat. We knew you kind of pitted on. We knew you pitted on lap 22, and we knew you had to save fuel, and we know you ran out coming across the line. So how are you managing the race, knowing that Evan didn't have to save anything?
To be honest, the last 10 laps, I kind of said, well, I made my bed. I'm just gonna go as fast as I can while still saving, and then if I run out, I'll at least try to pull a big enough lead that I can coast as far as I can and see where I end up. That was kind of my plan. I started taking and leaving it in fourth gear all the way through the carousel, and I think that helped me save just enough fuel to make it to the finish. As soon as Evan got by Matt, I was like, I gotta stop doing that because he's gonna be on me in no time. So as soon as he did that, I started pushing a little bit harder, and then just barely made it. It was kind of dumb luck, to be honest.
Well, it was a very exciting race to watch. I say we seen you kind of get a little sideways, and then the lead kind of dropped down. But all in all, it was a very fun race to watch. Do you have anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank you guys for putting this on. Chris for doing the series. You guys do a great job. Chris does a good job of organizing everything. Like to thank Evan for raising me clean. After what happened at Pocono, I fully expected a bump and run, and honestly, I wouldn't have even been mad at it. He deserved it too. Got to thank my parents. We were at Michigan today. We drove all the way home, and I made it with about an hour to spare to do this race. So it was a good weekend.
Well, it was an amazing race to watch, and hell of a drive from you. And congrats on your victory.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
There you go, man. That looked good for the man there tonight, putting in victory lane. I'm gonna bring this guy up here. He tried to get him. Evan, Joy in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Joe, I got you.
Well, man, you tried everything you could to get right there to grab Lane. Was there maybe any other strategy you could have done to get up there and took this thing away from him?
I got a little unlucky on the extra lap. I stayed out catching some lap traffic. I think cost me probably 2.5 seconds. So I think that's probably what did me in. I think if that hadn't happened, I would have come out about a second behind them, and I could have run them down and passed them before my tires wore out. But overall, I'm happy with how the Grab Your Balls, Let's Go Bowling truck did this evening. It was my one shot at making the playoffs, so I came up one spot short. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but it was a lot of fun up front.
Oh, no doubt. Like you said, man, I mean, look strong. You was able to get up front there. I mean, at some point, was you kind of like, man, Lane can't make it all the way. I mean, was that going through your mind, fuel-wise?
Yeah, I thought it might be a possibility. That's why I saved enough to go an extra lap, because I knew it'd be real close at the end. And I was hoping Matt would push him hard enough that they both run out, and I could just take a nice little stroll on by both of them. But Lane's too good at these road courses. He knows what he's doing. So it crossed my mind, but I didn't think it was going to happen.
Hey, look strong. Got out there tonight, got second place. Got anybody you want to thank?
Just my Brownie Racing boys, as always, and you guys up in the booth, and for Chris putting on this league. It's turned into something really special. Cool to be a part of it, and just thanks to you guys for putting on a great broadcast.
There you go, Evan Kinney, man, bringing her home tonight in second. Well, Caleb, I mean, it was a good road race. I mean, I appreciate the discipline of this kind of racing, and we saw a pretty good, exciting one here tonight.
Yeah, it was an amazing race to watch. I know I said that about pretty much every race in this league, but generally road course races, they get strung out, and there's like a very dominant winner, and not very interesting to watch. This one, last 20 laps, I mean, it was top three were under a blanket, and it was exciting all the way down to the end. And I hope every road course race for every season going forward is like that, because that's what we want to see. It's the racing we want to see, and I hope it's always like that.
Absolutely. Well, folks, I tell you what, I hope you enjoyed it. For myself and everyone here, have a good night.